Iwaizumi knew very damn well that his boyfriend was weird. Hell, of course he did. After all, they've been dating for roughly 3 years, starting in their last year at Seijo and now still going steady way into their pro careers. But nevertheless, his boyfriend hasn't changed much since back then, still the annoying but lovable pretty boy he fell in love with. Looking back, Iwaizumi was still kind of baffled how someone as rational as himself could fall for someone as dense and incredibly stupid as Oikawa Toru, to be quite frank. But somehow it happened and Iwaizumi was damn glad it did, no matter how much he liked to complain about his pretty-faced boyfriend. They simply fit together in a way most people didn't understand. Their shared vulnerability helped them understand each other, building a relationship with mutual trust, honesty and passion. Iwaizumi never did anything half-assed, especially loving his boyfriend. Despite everything, however, Oikawa was weird and no matter how much he loved that about him, sometimes it just made for unpleasant surprises. So when Iwaizumi came back from his work at approximately 10 in the evening, head slightly pounding from the stressful day of training and paperwork, he could already feel something unpleasant, Oikawa-related, was about to happen as he opened the front door of their shared apartment. What the hell? Something was definitely off and he squinted suspiciously down the dark, eerie, silent hallway. He liked to call it a sixth sense, Oikawa is up to no good, alarm, that honestly went off too many times to count in his head over the span of the week. It was only 3 days ago. His boyfriend had tried to surprise him with breakfast in bed, since he was stuck with those horrendous, sleep-depriving work and really the plan was sweet and thoughtful. Oikawa was cute like that. He really was, only as most things did when the brown-haired man was involved, it ended up blowing up in his face. Or Iwaizumi's face to be precise. And it hadn't even been the food, although toast slightly burned and scrambled eggs still looking too undercooked, it was fine, damn alright for someone with the cooking skills of his boyfriend. The only problem really was the execution of said plan his boyfriend created in his head. Because for some reason Iwaizumi couldn't think off even days later, his disaster of a boyfriend thought eating breakfast in bed wasn't romantic enough. Therefore Oikawa had the brilliant idea to leave the room completely dark except for a few candles here and there. As a result, the idiot tripped over a few dirty clothes splayed on the floor and Iwaizumi was greeted with the searing hot sensation of hot coffee on his skin. Naturally, his boyfriend had repetitiously said he was sorry and iced the few burns on his arms right away with tedious care. Iwaizumi had sworn he even saw tears in his boyfriend's eyes, and to be honest, Iwaizumi wasn't even that angry. If anyone else had done such a thing he would have already punched their head off, but not Oikawa. So what had Iwaizumi done? He pulled his boyfriend down beside him, kissed him good morning like every day and fucking ate the food he made with a pleasant hum. Screw the coffee in that moment since the small, teary smile of appreciation he had received made for a fucking perfect morning. He loved his boyfriend but the growing wariness he felt whenever Oikawa got any ideas or planned another surprise was just natural. Again his Oikawa is up to no good sense. Where the hell is that beautiful bastard? Iwaizumi promptly stomped down the hallway, aiming for the living room. The tiredness plaguing his body was now shoved to the back of his head as his thoughts were taken over a much prominent feeling of caution and he desperately hoped he was just being paranoid. Before he could open the door to their living room, however, he suddenly stopped in his tracks as a faint, all too familiar, whisper sounded off from the other side. Can you hear better like this? Hey, that hurts. That was definitely Oikawa's OICE, though Iwaizumi was pretty damn sure his boyfriend was at least sane enough not to talk to himself. Who the hell is with him at such a late hour? Without waiting another moment he swiftly pushed open door, perhaps a little too roughly as a loud bang echoed through the open space. Kawa, did you invite stupid Maki and Matsun over again for another shitty double date I never agreed to in the fur? His words died quickly on his tongue, anger dissolving, at the sight that greeted him. Because there on the floor was his boyfriend, not with any of their annoying friends but with a furball on his lap. A moving furball with glaring eyes. A cat. His boyfriend was holding a freaking cat. He was damn certain they did not own a cat. What the? Hi 𝐤𝐿, how was work today? His boyfriend greeted him in a cheery voice, totally unaware to the inner existential crisis Iwaizumi was going through, trying to make sense of what he was witnessing with wide eyes. Do you want me to heat up some leftovers? We still have a bit in the fridge. I bet you're hungry. Oikawa sighed and trailed his fingers through the furball on his lap, a small smile on his lips at the purr he received. Iwaizumi could have sworn his left eye twitched at the sight of it. I'm just really glad we have no matches until the next 2 months. Oikawa. Iwaizumi standing in the doorway finally spoke up again, interrupting his chatty boyfriend, eyes shooting daggers at the weird thing in the room. Oikawa tilted his head at that, blinking up at the other man in question. He merely scowled at the cute display and concentrated back on the issue at hand with a pointed finger. What the hell is that thing? A cat, Iwa-chan. I know what a cat is, Oikawa. I'm not stupid. Oikawa's raised eyebrow told him the other wasn't as convinced. Also, as if mocking his state of confusion, his boyfriend kept scratching the furball's head, making the damn flea trap purr, head nudging against man's left hand with a small mew. More important, though, were the small glances the furball kept giving him. Almost as if it was mocking him. What the hell is it doing in our apartment, getting fur all over our carpet, which I just cleaned the other day? At that, Oikawa's eyes faltered a bit, looking at least slightly guilty as he realized the state of their gray carpet now covered in orange hairs. Sorry, I should have brushed Tofu's fur before allowing her onto the carpet and the furniture. Iwaizumi's eyes widened at that. You let that thing onto our furniture. Truly done with whatever fever dream Iwaizumi had going on, he nearly pulled at his hair in frustration. Again, his paranoia was proven the hell right. Just finally tell me what that thing is even doing here in the first place. Instantly, a frown took over Oikawa's face. Don't be mean. Her name is Tofu. Giving said cat another tender head scratch, which earned the man another loud purr, he started once more. I was grocery shopping this afternoon and on the way back I saw her sitting all alone in a dark alley. So I fed her some salmon I bought, and after that she wouldn't leave me alone and eventually followed me back here. Iwaizumi slapped a hand against his forehead at the final shrug his boyfriend gave him, as if that would justify everything he had done. He couldn't believe that this was his life. Toru. Iwaizumi stepped closer, now right in front of the cat fur-covered boy kneeling on the floor. He glared demonstratively at the orange nightmare, which only looked at him unbothered, before continuing. You can't just let a damn stray into our home. They teach you this shit in elementary school. What if that thing is seriously sick, which could have already spread to you, or what if it just went missing and its owners are already looking for it? Iwaizumi kept on listing everything with a scolding tone. Of course he was the one who would teach Oikawa about stuff like that. The man who was still petting the cat tenderly started looking more dejected the more his lover kept on going, the meaning slowly sinking in. Coming to an end, Iwaizumi took a deep breath and crossed his arms in front of his chest. Do you get it now? I really can't believe you actually did something so reckless. I'm going to keep her and you can't stop me. His eyes stared into Oikawa's intensely, as if they were having a silent argument, and taking in his boyfriend's determined expression, Iwaizumi could already feel he lost this one. Today really wasn't his day, was it? Breaking eye contact, Iwaizumi merely scowled at his lover. I can't freaking believe you. But before he could say anything else, a warm body suddenly pressed against his in an all too familiar way, and without waiting another second a pair of soft lips were on his. If Oikawa was making up for the missing time they had with each other lately due to work, or just out of thankfulness that he was able to keep the fleabag, Iwaizumi couldn't give single flying fuck. Because he answered with just as much fervor, arms slinging around his boyfriend's waist and one hand squeezing his side teasingly. Damn, he loved that dumbass and could probably get lost in those feelings forever without a single care for anything else happening around him. Which Oikawa was probably aware of. That damn tease. Iwaizumi promptly pulled away from his boyfriend and trailed a few kisses down his cheeks and then his jawline, silencing any complaint Oikawa may have voiced for having pulled away from the deep kiss. Though, before he could indulge even more into his fantasies and creep a hand on his boyfriend's neck, a loud thump echoed through the room, pulling both men back to reality. Are you kidding me? Tofu, we talked about this. Get that fucking thing found from there, or so help me. The next day, after Iwaizumi tried to convince his boyfriend several more times to throw the flea trap back onto the streets the night prior, especially after that damn thing peed into the flower pot containing the plant Iwaizumi had been trying to grow for the past 3 months, Oikawa still wouldn't let go of the ridiculous idea to keep the orange-colored cat. Or rather, Tofu, as he insisted on calling that thing. Yeah, Oikawa had never been good with names. Nonetheless, Iwaizumi just had set his foot down regarding one crucial aspect of the whole shit show, so first thing in the morning both of them were on the way to the nearest vet to check that stray cat over. He would be damned if his boyfriend actually let a diseased cat into their home, and perhaps a tiny part of him hoped that the orange nightmare already had an owner and was only a runaway. Only it turned out being the opposite, just to Iwaizumi's bad luck and Oikawa's enjoyment. Moreover, the vet also explained that Tofu wasn't a girl but in fact a boy, around a year old and mostly healthy, although slightly underweight, mostly due to living on the streets for a while. Oikawa took it all in with a pleasant nod and a constant smile on his face, and as he turned to Iwaizumi with Tofu happily purring in his arms after the checkup, he offered his boyfriend a weirdly proud look. Who would have thought, Iwa-chan? Our little girl was a little boy all along. Iwaizumi crossed his arms and threw his boyfriend a fiery glare. More of that freaking nonsense and I'm breaking up with you. Oikawa merely replied with an unbothered hum and got back to cooing at the furball in his arms, who was basking in the wholeheartedly attention. Figures. So they had a cat now, a pet, another living being to take care of, even though both of them were full-time with their pro careers, so Iwaizumi was more than pessimistic to believe they, Oikawa, could handle the responsibility for long. Although it seemed like his boyfriend took the new addition to their apartment very serious indeed. Browsing the internet for hours, researching every aspect of taking care of a cat, and even going so far as to let the damn cat taste nearly every brand of cat food their local store had to see which one the orange nightmare liked the best. The dedication and investment Oikawa showed would normally be something Iwaizumi would think of as cute and endearing, but since all of it cut short the time they usually spent together, he couldn't really say he was a big fan. The cat was stealing his boyfriend's time, and no, he wasn't jealous of a pet, he really wasn't. He was just pissed, more so than normally. That damn flea trap. Though the worst part was that the stupid cat even disrupted future plans they had, plans Iwaizumi was looking forward to. What the hell do you mean you're using your vacation days right now? Oikawa nodded, totally unaware to the inner crisis Iwaizumi was going through at receiving the information, and gestured towards Tofu, who was peacefully sleeping on the couch across from them. Well, I can't leave Tofu home alone just yet. All of the websites said you should spend lots of time with young cats who get used to a new environment, so I'm staying home for a few more days. Iwaizumi's eyebrow twitched at the explanation. We freaking planned a trip to Okinawa next week. You can't just go and use up all your vacation days for a stupid cat. Oh, that completely slipped my mind. Oikawa admitted, at least looking a little guilty. I promise I'll figure something out, Iwa-chan. Yeah. A warm hand reached up and caressed his cheek at that, turning his head in the process and making him look at his boyfriend beside him, who offered him a sweet smile, a smile he only ever reserved for boyfriend. I love you. Ignoring the rising heat in his face, still, even after all this time, falling victim to his boyfriend's charm, Iwaizumi merely grumbled out a few incoherent words and traced his own hand along the warm hand of his lover before grasping it. I love you too, idiot. Iwaizumi mumbled out with a small squeeze of his hand. He'd probably never get used to saying these words so freely, but that was the effect Oikawa had on him, and hearing his boyfriend say the same words always made his heart skip, a content warmth engulfing him. How he was ever able to live without this feeling was a mystery to him. Before Iwaizumi could say anything else, he was swiftly pulled forward and into a sweet kiss by his boyfriend, lips moving in the all-familiar way as both fell into the comfort of each other. A cool hand trailed up his toned chest, a shiver running down his back at the contact, and he was quickly pulled downwards even more so as Oikawa's hands finally came to rest around his heated neck. What are you trying to do? Iwaizumi asked with a raised eyebrow as he caught his breath from their kiss, now nearly completely hovering above his boyfriend, who only threw him a charming but teasing smile. What does it look like? Oikawa pulled him into another short kiss, sneaking his hand beneath his boyfriend's tight shirt to stroke his firm muscles. I'm spending time with my boyfriend. A pair of legs suddenly wrapped around his waist, but before anything else could happen, a loud meow could be heard from beside the couch. Iwaizumi wanted to scream. Oh, it looks like Tofu wants some love as well. Come here, sweetie. Oikawa called to the annoying furball, who jumped onto the couch beside them right away, totally destroying the mood. He could only scowl and glare at the cat, which was now purring loudly as he rubbed his head against Oikawa's outstretched hand, the hand that was fondling his abs a mere minute ago. He wasn't freaking jealous, but even he had limits, and the curious eyes the damn thing was eyeing him with wasn't helping, for heaven's sake. Backing up quickly, Iwaizumi sat back on his knees, glaring daggers at the boyfriend-stealing cat. What's wrong? What's wrong? You being hung up more over a damn cat than over your own damn boyfriend is what's wrong. Another meow could be heard, and before he could answer the question, a head suddenly nudged against his hand as Tofu purred right in front of him from above Oikawa's lap, looking at him with big eyes all innocent-like. Ah, Iwa-chan. He likes you after all. His brows furrowed at that, and he scoffed, pulling his hand away before the flea trap could do anything else. Though, to his surprise, the cat followed his hand, unbothered by the clear distaste of the blonde, all to Oikawa's delight, who was watching the interaction with sparkling eyes. The fuck you want? Iwaizumi asked, exasperated, while the cat began licking his fingertips with its rough, disgusting tongue. and he could already feel the Oikawa across from him coo innerly at the sight. I think he actually likes you. He was about to disagree loudly, but before he could do so, pain sparked up his right hand and he caught himself pulling away quickly with a yelp. What the hell? Tofu quickly turned around with a flick of his tail and promptly sat back down on Oikawa's chest with a pleased purr, ignoring the fuming iwaizumi who was cursing loudly. Oikawa winced at the sight. Or maybe he still needs some time getting used to you. He offered half-heartedly before beginning to scold Tofu, who looked up at him innocently with his brown eyes. Damn devil spawn. Iwaizumi sneered loudly. The stupid cat wasn't just stealing his pretty boyfriend, no. It was also trying to mess with him, and Iwaizumi certainly wouldn't stand for that. Oikawa, wincing at the failed interaction, swiftly sat up with Tofu in his hand and placed the still purring cat back on the couch before telling his cursing boyfriend he'd be getting the first aid kit from the bathroom. While his boyfriend was gone, Iwaizumi threw the orange cat, who was now licking his paw without any care of the angry human beside him on the couch, another hateful glare. Just wait until Oikawa is asleep and I'll throw you out on the streets, you furry nuisance. Tofu merely jumped off the couch with another flick of his tail and made his way to the bathroom. I never freaking signed up for this. Iwaizumi noticed the alarmed voice of his boyfriend calling him from the living room. Just as he was serving their steaming dinner on the kitchen table, he raised an eyebrow at the tone of Oikawa's voice and quickly answered with a shout. What is it, dumbass? Need help getting undressed? Hurry the hell up unless you want to eat cold ramen tonight. Just come here for a second. Putting the pot lid down with a grumble, Iwaizumi let out a mumbled fine, and left the kitchen, as well as their warm dinner behind in search of his distressed boyfriend. Apparently, whatever the hell was going on now was more important than eating dinner together. As he entered their living room, he spotted Oikawa right away, standing in front of the window tensely. What's going on? Iwaizumi asked, a wave of concern now slightly clouding his mind. Oikawa turned around at the voice of his boyfriend, eyes wide with worry and lips set into a tight line. He simply pointed out of the window and beckoned his lover to step closer. Look at this. With that, Iwaizumi followed his boyfriend's pointed finger and he finally spotted what had Oikawa so agitated, with squinted eyes. The orange nightmare. Iwa-chan, what is Tofu doing down there? Did you scare him out of the apartment while I was taking a shower? I freaking wish. Iwaizumi snorted at the accusing tone of his boyfriend and crossed his arms in front of his chest, sighing lightly before answering the taller man once again. I didn't, alright. That furball must have sneaked out while I was taking out the trash or something. Oikawa's eyes squinted at him for a second before he sighed tiredly, with a hand raking through his hair, before he turned towards the hallway. At least help me rescue Tofu then. Willing down a groan, Iwaizumi complied silently and followed his boyfriend out of the front door to save the troublesome furball. He still couldn't believe this was his life now, running after a snotty cat just because his pretty boyfriend said so. He hates it here. A few moments later, however, everything got even worse. Iwaizumi was close to screaming his head off as he was perched on a wobbly branch, arms outstretched towards a hissing cat, all while Oikawa was encouraging from down below. Tofu, sweetie, please just come down there. Oikawa cooed loudly as he looked up at the orange cat stuck in a tree. Steadying his feet on the wobbly branch for the 10th time already, Iwaizumi cursed loudly, the nightmare cat still not coming towards him even though they've been at this whole rescue mission for nearly 10 minutes already. Why can't you just climb up here and get this stupid pest? Why do I have to do the hellish job while you just stand there and do nothing? Oikawa winced lightly as his boyfriend nearly slipped from screaming at him. I told you my ankle feels a little swollen today and I don't want to risk falling with Tofu in my arms. Another groan could be heard from the tree, leaves steadily falling to the ground at the ruckus, and Oikawa had to smile awkwardly at another person who passed by with a worried glance before slowly covering the side of his face. A curse followed as well as another hiss, and Oikawa shook his head at the mess. Approximately 15 minutes later, after a lot of coaxing and cursing and a crowd of civilians stopping by in wonder, both of them were back in their apartment. Tofu was happily purring along in Oikawa's arms, who had a relieved look on his face as he stroked the cat's fur. And as for Iwaizumi, he was grumpily slumped at the kitchen table, scratches all over his arms and cold food on his plate. Altogether, it made for an awful day in his opinion, no matter how much Oikawa beamed at him with his blinding smile. The cat ruined it all. Though, the kisses he received later on in bed made up for the hassle at least a slight bit. The next day both slept in, tired from the previous events, and they didn't have a rush to get out of their comfortable, warm bed anyway. A pair of warm lips pressed against his forehead while a hand stroked through his hair, and iwaizumi let out a pleasant hum, head nudging against the inviting scratches. Ah, now you're really acting like a cat yourself, Iwa-chan. Shut the hell up for once. Iwaizumi groaned, displeased at the comparison, but was too lazy and comfortable to retort with any crass comment, and thus rather snuggled back into the covers and against his boyfriend with a small yawn. Another kiss was pressed against the side of his head. You stay here, I'll get breakfast ready. He opened one eye at that, and Iwaizumi scoffed lightly into the soft pillow beneath him. Can you handle that without setting the kitchen on fire again? Oikawa tilted his head at that cutely. I was just going to fill 2 bowls with cereal and milk. Iwaizumi wanted to laugh at that. Figures. But then again, it was probably best like that. Oikawa didn't retort back and just grinned, leaning in and pulled his boyfriend for an ardent kiss. With a pleased hum, Iwaizumi placed a hand on his boyfriend's nape, wanting to deepen the kiss when loud scratches against their bedroom door interrupted the pair, disrupting the moment. Iwaizumi wanted to scream or just punch something. Oikawa immediately pulled away without any hesitation and walked towards the door. No freaking way. Iwaizumi muffled curses using his pillow, already in a bad mood when the warm presence beside him vanished and the door was opened, letting in the sound of a meowing cat. Soon enough there was an added weight on their mattress, and Tofu came into view, ears curiously flicking and tail raised, plainly ignoring the hateful glare he received from him, and quickly cuddled up against Oikawa, giving him another meow with sparkling eyes. Ah, Tofu, do you want to cuddle? Iwaizumi couldn't believe what was happening. There he was, wanting to spend a nice morning with his boyfriend, and said boyfriend was hugging a damn cat, like they weren't just about to make out a few minutes ago. Are you seriously picking a cat over me? Iwa-chan, don't be like that. Tofu is probably just hungry and lonely. Iwaizumi scoffed. My lips are lonely as well, come hug it with your tongue. Let me take care of our baby and then we'll pick this up later. Oikawa smiled cheerfully like nothing was wrong, and it's either he doesn't notice his boyfriend's suffering or just chose to ignore it before picking up Tofu and getting up to make his way to the kitchen. Iwaizumi was speechless, couldn't quite grasp what just happened. It's a damn cat, not a freaking baby. Oikawa, what the hell? I love you, Iwa-chan, I'll make out with you later. Oikawa called from the kitchen, a meow following his voice. This was his life now. Battling with a cat over the affection of his boyfriend. Iwaizumi turned around with a devastating groan and screamed into the pillow.